All right, so today we've got an unboxing. I don't actually know what is in here yet, but we're gonna check it out and find out.
All right, this is the Black Diamond and Double Black Diamond. They didn't do a great job of was making them look distinctly different from each other. Like 6-0, please fix this.
But I'm going to give Paddle of the Year award to my absolute favorite paddle of 2023, and that was the 6-0 Double Black Diamond.
But honestly, I would prefer a little bit of a longer handle. The Double Black Diamond, on the other hand, is that same wooden board, maybe not as good as the Legacy Pro.
This has been my absolute favorite paddle for the majority of the year for all of the reasons that I cited earlier in the all-court category. It's just one of those paddles that no matter what I tried, I could always come back to the Double Black Diamond and feel the most comfortable. All right, now that we've taken care of that, I guess it's officially time to say Adidas makes the best pickleball paddles in pickleball. Oh my God. I can't even say that with a straight face. That is funny. Okay, guys, I'm totally joking. This is the long anticipated Triple Black Diamond, which is a paddle collaboration between 6-0 and my good friend Pickleball Will. This is something that has been in the works for many, many months, and it's finally here. So let's talk about it. Before we get to all of the important specs and other information, if you're watching this video on Saturday, the day before this paddle drops, just know that it officially launches at 6 p.m. EST on Sunday, and 6-0 has said this paddle was designed to be a limited edition and will only return if the demand is high. Since they have another elongated paddle releasing later this year, they aren't sure if it's worth keeping this one around or not. So if you do end up being interested in this paddle, just know that you may have to buy it right on launch day, because I don't know what the odds are that they actually bring it back. And historically, whenever the Ruby has come back in stock, it's sold out in like less than 10 minutes. So just be warned that if you really want this paddle, you're probably gonna have to buy it immediately at launch. Okay, the price of the Triple Black Diamond is $220, but with discount code PB Studio, not Pickleball Will, you can bring that code down to about $200. Other specs of the paddle are a new 18K raw carbon fiber face. It's also a 15mm thick paddle instead of 16mm or 14mm, has a grip size of 4.25 inches, elongated length of 16.5 inches, and finally, it weighs on average 8.1 ounces. Now that the basic specs are out of the way, we need to talk about the swing weight of the Triple Black Diamond, because this paddle is heavy. It has a stock swing weight range of about 125 to 128. To put this into perspective, there's only 15 or so paddles in my paddle database that have a swing weight of 125 or higher, and that's out of nearly 380 paddles in my database. So roughly 4% of paddles in my database have a swing weight of 125 or higher. I'm bringing this up because not only is it a high swing weight period, but for 6-0, it's a much higher swing weight than previous paddles, which have typically ranged from about 114 up to maybe 120 or so on the Ruby. There will be some of you out there who don't mind this though. My brother actually loves the stock swing weight, and he even chose to add lead tape up the throat to make it even heavier. Will is also someone who does not mind this high of a swing weight, so just know that it's going to depend on your play style, but if you know you don't like high swing weights, keep this in mind for the rest of the review, because I think for a lot of you out there, it might be the make or break for this paddle. Later in the video, you'll also hear from my brother, so you can hear a perspective of someone who does like a high swing weight paddle. With the Triple Black Diamond comes a new elongated shape from 6-0. They have traditionally been using their hybrid shape for almost everything, but this is their first attempt at a unique elongated shape. If I'm being honest, it kind of just looks like a shovel. I think the design of the paddle is great with the 18K, the colors, the lines, but honestly, the shape isn't that appealing to me. The more I played with it, I kind of got over it, but I don't know that this is winning any design awards for the shape that it comes with. 6-0 has claimed the flared out top should help with the sweet spot, and maybe it does slightly, but not enough for me to think that's coming strictly from the shape itself. Most of the time playing with this paddle, I felt it had about an average sweet spot for what I would expect for an elongated thermoformed paddle. The other thing is that 6-0 is only advertising this as a 6-inch handle, but similar to other paddles on the market, I think that's selling itself slightly short. Once you put an overgrip on this and you account for how narrow the neck flares out, you honestly get closer to about 6.25 to maybe 6.3 inches of usable handle area. So it does feel bigger than a lot of large handles on the market already. If you compare it to the 11.6/24 Huarache X handle, which is advertised as 6 inches, you can clearly see the difference between them. So if you love long handles, the Triple Black Diamond definitely gives it to you. I would call the Triple Black Diamond a paddle that is all court that leans very close to being on the control end of the spectrum. In a lot of ways, it just makes me think of a Double Black Diamond that's really heavy. I think most of the extra power that the Triple Black Diamond has comes from so much weight being concentrated in the head. It plows through the ball very well and feels extremely solid. In fact, noticeably more dense than a Double Black Diamond. Unfortunately though, I feel like you could just say this about a lot of Gen 2 thermoformed paddles if you just added lead tape around the head to match the swing weight of the Triple Black Diamond. In fact, I did this to the Huarache X Kevlar model with lead, and the plow through was very similar. I will say that off-center shots felt less jarring on the Triple Black Diamond, but the control and plow through were very comparable after I matched the swing weights. Part of me thinks if you're going to have a trade-off of the swing weight being so high, you should get the added benefit of much more power, a larger sweet spot, or something that offsets the downside of having slower hands, but I never really found any quality that made me think that high swing weight was worth the trade-off. When it comes to the soft game, I never found that I had anything bad to say. It was about par for the course for what I would expect for most thermoformed paddles that are on the softer side of the spectrum. Maybe slightly better because the extra weight feels really solid on a block or reset, but overall, nothing super standout. To be honest, that's about all I have to say as far as the feel and control and power goes for the Triple Black Diamond. During all the games or drilling that I did and going back and forth between the Double Black Diamond and the Triple, I just never had this sense of this really stands out. The most defining characteristic I can describe is that it plows through the ball very easily and feels very heavy, which isn't necessarily bad if you basically wanted a heavier, more solid feeling Double Black Diamond with a long handle. Now here's the thing, while there wasn't necessarily anything that stood out as a really defining feature that I loved about it, the biggest takeaway for me was the hand speed being a lot slower. Anytime I went back to my Double Black Diamond, I just felt so much more free on the court. Even while I was dinking, it just felt like I was a little slower to roll over the ball to add topspin. I was very sluggish with a long handle and the swing weight being as high as it is. But just know that just because I can't doesn't mean it isn't for you. I don't want you guys to think, oh man, this paddle is completely unplayable, because it isn't, and you'll hear from my brother in a second. But I just want to stress that if you are sensitive to head-heavy paddles, this is probably not the one for you.
All right, by popular demand, he's back.
I'm back, baby.
And specifically, he's back because I don't like this paddle because it is a high swing weight of 125 plus, but that's actually what he prefers. He wants his paddles heavy. He would even add lead to this because he is crazy. So I will let him talk about the paddle.
Yeah, no, I do like really heavy paddles, and everything about this, to an extent, fits how I like to play and what I want in a paddle. The static swing weight, or stock swing weight, excuse me, is like 125, which I really like, and I actually did end up adding tungsten to it. So I went from down at the bottom of the throat all the way up to about the 6 on the side here, which is pretty high. It's about a third of the way up, maybe a little more. And I don't know, we never tested the numbers on it, but it's probably
Probably 129 to 130.
Yeah, around there. So it's pretty heavy. I do like heavier paddles, and now I wouldn't say this is the most powerful paddle out there. It's definitely not, especially for thermoform paddles. It is definitely on the softer side, kind of all court to control paddle. But what it does really well is, especially when I added that weight to the bottom, man, I felt like I could not miss the sweet spot on drops, dinks, rolls. Everything off the face felt really crisp and clean, and it is a dense paddle, which I really like that feel. And that long handle, the shape is a little different, but it is just amazing on rolls at the net and dinking. I love that long handle, especially for two-handed backhands. It just feels good in my hand. It's not the highest spin number, it's not the lightest or fastest paddle out there, and it's not the most powerful paddle, but it is a all-around good control paddle for just keeping the point going, which I really liked about this paddle. When I got pushed back to the baseline, I felt like it was really easy to work my way back to the kitchen and kind of clean points up, which made me feel really confident. That's what I liked about this, is it just gave me confidence on the court, which was awesome.
So we also just finished testing alongside the Huarache, the Kevlar one. How did you feel that compared?
I'd probably need to hit a little bit more, but overall, I'd say very similar. Shape-wise, they're pretty similar. The handle, the way this tapers makes the handle a little bit longer, which I prefer. And this is definitely a little heavier. If I were to play with the Huarache, the Kevlar one, man, I'd be throwing weight on that thing like crazy to get it similar to this. But from the short time I had with it, similar, I liked it. If you wanted a cheaper version of this essentially, or if these are sold out and you can't get these anymore, I think that would be a great substitute for this paddle. It also doesn't quite have that dense feeling as this does. With this thing, what I really like in a paddle is plow through, and this does that so well. It just has so much plow through on blocks and stuff. If somebody drives at me really hard, I mean, this thing is a brick wall, which I love. It feels awesome.
The Triple Black Diamond is not a bad paddle, but I think I was expecting more from it. There's nothing that the Triple Black Diamond does that makes me go, wow, I should really buy this compared to the alternatives that I have available on the market. The best description I can give this paddle is a double black diamond with a very long handle, more plow through, and marginally more power because of that high swing weight. This is going to be for people who don't mind high swing weights, want a more dense feeling paddle, and require a long handle, which is likely going to be people who were former tennis players. Especially if you like being able to take large swings at the ball and still keep it in play, this paddle does that very well. So if you fit that description, then I think you'll probably like the Triple Black Diamond. The last thing you should consider though is the value of this paddle. Overall, I think the value is relatively low. Coming in at $220 is a reasonably steep price, especially with some of the alternative options out there. The 11.624 Huarache X Control Plus, or even their Kevlar version, which is probably more similar in terms of control and power to the Triple Black Diamond. And then you also have the Honolulu Pickleball J7K, which seems to fit into a very similar category as well. So just know that there are options that aren't identical, but that can probably get you to 80 or 90% of what this is, but at a lower price and a more reasonable swing weight if that's something that's important to you. Finally, let's keep in mind that just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it might not be the paddle for you. I have a bias against paddles that have too high of a swing weight because my hands are just too slow. So if you know you like heavy paddles, this could be perfect for you. It's understandable that it's so heavy though, because I know Will himself does not mind this type of swing weight, and it's technically his paddle collab. So the man gets what he wants. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.